Hi there, today we're going to be talking about these knives from Woodbear. This is the Nordic bear and this is the baby bear. They're made by a guy called Andras, and I want to show you some of the great features that they have, and I want to show you some of the design features that I really like that make these knives stick out from other bushcraft knives on the market. Okay, let's first of all take the Nordic bear. This is a model called the Nordic bear, and for all of you knife geeks out there like me who want to know what size things are, the blade on this knife is approximately 3.5 inches long, and the handle is about just a shade over 4.25 inches, making the whole thing about 7.75 inches long. It's 4mm or 5/32 of an inch. 0-1 tool steel. It holds a hair-popping edge, and I'm going to come talk a bit more about the blade in a minute. It's very, very full tang, that runs all the way through the knife. It's beautifully pinned, and it has a lovely barrel-style handle, which is great to use with cold hands, or it gives a very strong grip that doesn't tire easily. Okay. So, a couple of the design features on this knife that I particularly like, I'm going to show you in relation to probably the best known bushcraft knife out there, the Raymer's Woodlore. Okay, this knife is the Raymer's Woodlore. It's designed and made by a survival instructor designed by a survival instructor in the UK and made by an English maker called Alan Wood, and is reputed to be the most well-known of the bushcraft knives, certainly in the UK. I'll put you down in terms of size-wise. Actually, the blade's area, there's probably not much of a difference, probably 1/2 inch. Overall, the knife weighs about 2/3 of the Woodlore, but it doesn't have this unpleasant Coke bottle handle that the Woodlore has. I find this quite a tiring grip to use, and I actually find it quite uncomfortable. It's a great knife, but I like Nordic knives, and I'll explain what I mean about Nordic knives now. Here's an example of a Sami knife from Finland, and if we draw it out of its sheath, we can see that there are two things that are very important. Firstly, the handle is very thick, and it's a barrel-shaped handle. This type of handle is very easy to grip, but there's also a little curve at the back that gives you a little finger and index so you know which way the blade's facing. Okay, and this is especially useful with cold hands. It has a flat Scandinavian grind, and as you can see, what I wanted in a knife was a through tang, full tang bushcraft knife that had the same features as a Nordic. What I really like about this knife is the fact that it's pointy. Pointy knives are very useful for bushcraft because a lot of our time we're doing a lot of wood crafting and wood carving. So if I show you the types of knives that we would normally use for spoon carving, and I then place into that another bushcraft knife that I particularly like. This is one by Charles May. But as you can see, this is a pointy tip. If we draw the Woodlore against that, we'll find that the tip is pointy, but UK bushcraft knives tend to have a paddle-shaped or spear-shaped blade. Here's an example as well. This is a Condor knife, the Condor Bushcrafter. As you can see, it's quite a piece of steel, but this wide tip makes carving with very, very tight curls and crafting very difficult. So as you can see, I favour a slim pointy blade, and slim pointy blades are very useful for carving, which is probably 60 to 80% of the stuff that we do in bushcraft. Has a flat Scandinavian grind edge, and I tell you, this is a sharp, sharp knife. Okay. The second thing I want to show you is, I talked about the handle shape a little, about this nub at the end here, and it fits. I've got quite big hands, and it fits my hands really well. And I wanted to show you this knife in comparison because you see how thin the scales are on this knife? That can make it very difficult and tiring to use because you get cramp in your hands over a long period of time. If you look at this, the Nordic bear versus this Scandinavian knife by Charles May, you can see that the handle difference is significant. Okay, this means that we've got very easy forward grip, very easy backhand grip, and a nice comfortable chest lever grip if we needed it. Okay, so this is a very good knife. I also asked Andras if he could make these blades so that the cutting edge started directly from the handle. With a lot of blades you get this little piece here that's not knife and not edge. Even on the top end expensive guys' knives like Ray's here, we've got this little edge here that it doesn't really serve a purpose and gets in the way a lot when we're crafting. If we look at a traditional Mora knife, it doesn't have that, and this is a very useful area of the blade that we use a lot. Okay, so it has a upswept tip, but this isn't a recurve blade. It's you can still use it for peeling and skinning, and the handle is made of an epoxized bamboo fiber, and it's really strong, and I really like it. It's got enough grip if it got wet that it would stick to your fingers, and if it's got enough of an epoxy in there that any moisture that you do get on it isn't going to penetrate very deeply. Let's take a look at the sheath for this. Here we have the sheath. The sheath is made by JRE Industries. It's the standard fire steel sheath. It has a loop here for a baldric, area here for to put it on the belt loop. I like neck knives, so that's why I've got it set up as a neck knife. You can get the sheath with or without the fire steel. I know that some guys don't like the fire steel attached to it. The fit and finish on this knife is excellent. Really, really good. Really, really excellent knife. And in terms of approximate weight, I guess it weighs about 2/3 of a Woodlaw or a standard bushcraft knife. I like a small blade, and I favour this knife over other knives. The standard way that it arrives without the fire steel and the neck cord, and without the lanyard on here, but these are just things I have because I found them very useful for me when I'm out in the bush. One criticism, or one build on the sheath design only, is that if this tube here could be moved closer to the base, I'll explain why. Here's a sheath that we make for the Mora knife for our students on the Bushman course that we run. And as you can see, the fire steel is placed down at the bottom of the sheath. Now, if you could move the fire steel loop down so that about an inch of the fire steel was streaking out the bottom, it actually makes it easier when you've got cold hands and gloves to strike a fire steel, because you can hold on to the whole of the sheath, and you don't have to remove the fire steel from the sheath, risking its loss. It's just a small detail, but something that maybe we can think about at a later date. Okay, so that's the Nordic Bear. Out of 100, probably a 95% for me on this one. It's a great knife. The Woodlaw for me would get probably 75% score on it. So this is in my opinion, a great knife from a great new maker. He's enthusiastic, very willing to please, and the guy really knows his stuff.